Okay, today we're doing similar polygons. The word similar means same shape, different size. So same shape, but not the same size. The word polygon, poly means many, gon means angle. We're dealing with shapes with many angles. Look at 20b number 4. We have two triangles. They are similar because they're the same shape, but they're not the same size. So the way that we're going to work this, we're trying to solve what D is. What is this size? There's more than one way to work these. This triangle is proportionally bigger than this one. But your numbers won't always work out to be whole numbers. So the way that we're going to work this is we're going to set up a fraction equal to a fraction. Okay? So the best way to do this is it's called corresponding sides. If I was to take this little triangle and put it over here, you can see that this side corresponds to this side corresponds to this side, and this side corresponds to this side. So we only need to take the information that we know. So D corresponds to this side, so we're going to make it into a fraction of D over 5. And then we're going to set it equal to, since D is in the numerator over here, then we're going to put 64 in the numerator on the other side of the fraction. And then 64 corresponds to this side over 8. And if you look here, D is the big triangle, 64 is the big triangle. Both the big triangle numbers are in the numerator and then 5 comes from the small triangle, 8 comes from the small triangle. Both of the numbers from the small triangle are in the denominator. So it's important to keep everything straight. Both numerators need to be all the same, both big, and denominators need to be the same, both small. Then from here, you have a fraction set equal to a fraction from last lesson, cross multiply. This. So in order to solve, it's D times 8 or 8 times D, 8D, set equal to 5 times 64. Then remember, you can use your calculators. So 8D equals 320. Now to solve this, you need to get rid of the 8, which it needs to be divided away. So divide it to the other side. And then D equals 40. You can double check yourself because going from 8 to 64, 8 times 8 equals 64, and then 5 times 8 does equal 40. This triangle is 8 times larger than this one. It won't always be that way. If you look at 20b, number 9, your numbers won't always be a nice, neat whole number. So you have these two triangles and they are similar. They're the same shape, but they're not the same size. So you set up a fraction. So this side corresponds to this side. If I was to take this triangle and lay it over here, these two sides would correspond to each other. So 21 is to 15, and I set up a fraction. Then I'm going to set it equal to another fraction. Since I started with the big triangle in the numerator here, I've got to start with the big triangle in the numerator over here. So I need to start with V over, and it corresponds to this side. So both the numbers in the denominator come from the small triangle. Both the numbers in the numerator come from the big triangle. Then from there, you cross multiply. Cross multiply means take this number times this number, 21 times 20, set it equal to 15 times V. Multiply these two things together. 420 equals 15V. To solve for V, 15 is being multiplied. It needs to be divided away. So then V equals 28. And there's no units on these. We don't know if it's inches, feet, centimeters, so you don't need to put any units on there. So look at 20C number 5. So here, now rectangle, but still these rectangles are similar to each other. They're the same shape, but they're not the same size. So same thing, set up a fraction of corresponding sides. This side would correspond to this side. So if I'm going to start with this, then I could say 22 over 10 equals, well, since I started with the big rectangle in the numerator, I start with the big rectangle in the numerator over here. So that would be Y And that corresponds to this side, over 15. So cross multiply. I'm going to scoot over here. So that would be 22 times 15 is that equal to, 22 times 15 is that equal to 10 times y, or 10y. So 22 and 15, 330. Then you need to get rid of the 10, so divide it away. And so y would equal 33. All of these came out to whole numbers, but they won't always come out to whole numbers. It's okay to have a decimal answer.